Welcome to another episode of The Goth and the Sloth. I'm your Sloth, Matt.
And I'm Luna the Goth.
This is the podcast of two friends living a country apart, living our best lives, and getting into what we get into. We decided to take the first part of our podcast and probably the rest of the world, the rest of the podcast at this point to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, how it affects our lives, how it affects your lives, and how it's a slow, painful apocalypse that's not fun at all.
That's true. It's a very boring, sad apocalypse. I kind of picture it like if all the apocalypse,
Apocalypse?
apocalypse, I don't know.
Apocalypse.
But they all got together in a room and the 2020 Earth apocalypse is like, hey guys. It's like in a corner. Anyway,
Gets picked on by robot apocalypse.
that's right.
So how you doing this week?
Oh, fine.
You hitting that record button good?
I did hit that record button. We weren't going to say anything, Matt. But yes, I'm much better now that I've hit the record button. Yay.
Yeah,
Professional. How about you?
we're getting there. You know, hanging in there. It's the end of the birthday month, so a
Yeah.
little bit of sad.
Yeah, but the end of the birthday month turns into the beginning of all of autumn, which
Yeah.
means that you just keep going. It's just a constant celebration until, after Yule when you have to do taxes. And that's really it. That's life as an
No,
adult.
there's nothing to celebrate in August, and it's really not fall in August. There's like a whole month of blah,
Oh, sure. Well, I just kind of
in my
see
opinion.
that's fair. I see August as like birthday month too, because I never get everything done that I want to do in my birthday month.
That's
So
fair.
then in August, I kind of like do the other stuff that I never got done, and then it's September, and then it's Dragon Con, which won't happen.
No, they did finally cancel that.
They did no Dragon Con for us. But anyway,
But good on them for canceling it, though, instead of trying to force that.
oh my
You
gosh,
know.
for sure.
So let's jump into the news of the week. How's the greater Virginia area doing?
Well, in Virginia, we have 81,231 cases, which is up almost 7,000 from last week, which is a higher rate of increase than the week before, because the week before we were up 5,500. So, bad. We're bad.
It's not good.
Not good. And we have 7,437 hospitalizations, which is up a little less than 400, and 2,054 deaths, which is up about 50 from last week. So from this week to from last week to this week, not going back in time, going forward, we're at about the same increase for hospitalizations and death, but not for cases. Cases went up a bit more, which is bad.
Bad. Yes.
Bad, bad. Outside of the numbers, there was a CNN article today that I guess reported. I was going to say disclosed. No, it's not that fancy. They reported that nearly 75% of detainees at a U.S. ICE facility, which is U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, have contracted COVID. And so immigration lawyers and advocates were already really concerned about the conditions that these folks were in, and now they have even more reason to be concerned with so many people being infected, and it doesn't sound like they really have the resources to effectively isolate people. And I mean, it's just spread so rapidly that it's just scary. It says that nearly a month ago, there were 49 cases at this detention center in Farmville, and this center only holds adult males. But now There are 360 immigrants in custody at the center, and 268 of them have confirmed coronavirus cases, or confirmed coronavirus. So, um, yeah, it's scary. I just this story really grabbed me because just I would say in light of everything, but just in light of life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's terrifying. And you think about the death rate for non-white folks, and if
Yep.
for these folks, they likely don't have health insurance, and it's just it's terrifying.
Yeah,
But
and yeah, ICE has got a really bad track record for arresting and or detaining people that aren't illegal immigrants, just based on race, and they end up in custody for quite a long time. And this now you also get a disease on top of your life screwed up.
yeah, ice is yeah, yes.
Ice is terrible unless it's in my drink.
And then it depends on the drink. Sometimes it doesn't belong there.
What? I like a really nice rosé with like a bunch of ice in it. Just joking.
I'm sorry to your rosé.
I'm fancy.
Apparently you don't like your rosé. What about Colorado?
Well, we're not doing great. So we're at 42,314 cases, which is up 4,000 from the previous week, which is our highest week-to-week increase since wholesome content.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's been a while. So we're on the upswing. Hospitalizations are at 6,129, which is only up 183, which is actually decently low.
Yeah, that is.
But we're at
Uh-oh.
1,645 deaths, which is up 171 week to week.
Holy
Which
crap.
again is our highest week to week increase since we talked about the 1918 flu.
And we can't even say that that's like a processing thing like we did the other time, that there was a
Yeah,
large increase. You would hope at this point they've kind of figured out how to process all of this information.
exactly. Yeah. So,
Ah.
So it seems like more people are getting it and the death toll is increasing.
Yeah, and the death rate, like
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway,
it's
wow,
scary.
not good.
Far as regular news, I think I talked about the mask mandate, but yeah, we still have a statewide mask mandate. They're also closing bars. Well, bars are already closed unless they serve food, but they're now telling them they have to close at 10, which is weird. But
Yeah, I saw that
whatever.
whole. Well, I just Polis.
I get some of the reasoning. I don't agree with the reasoning, but I sort of see the thought behind it. So they're thinking people are up too late drinking and they lose their inhibitions and don't follow other protocols. And if
Yeah,
they,
I get it. I get it. I think maybe just the way that the article I read was worded, it put me off, because if it's just that they're mandating that bars close at 10, then okay. But in general, it sounded like Polis was saying last call is moving to 10, and he wants to move it to early or in the night ongoing, if possible.
yeah,
But like for the coronavirus, okay. Like for this situation, but again, bars in Colorado are different. Where like here in Virginia, every bar has a kitchen, so like with a full menu. So if they stopped serving drinks at 10, that would suck. But you still have a place to hang out for a while, and eat food, get dinner, whatever. Get late night snacks if you like pound a bunch of beers at 10. But I don't know. I guess maybe I'm a little confused, and I'm sure it doesn't make sense for a bar to be open after the last call is done, but I don't know. I'm not wrapping my head around it very well.
it's a little weird, yeah, and it's like just like I think he's trying to find that middle ground of like letting places be open, because I think the other option would just to be fully closed. But it also seems to me, for a person that doesn't own a bar or work at a bar, to just close, like just say, well, we're closing down again. But that's from a perspective of someone that it doesn't affect directly, so I can easily
Right.
say that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. Our bars here, I mean, we weren't. I don't even know that we're open past midnight. We're still open, but we're not open late. I'm not entirely sure why. I assumed it was because we weren't selling much
Yeah.
without it being like the bar being open, and you can
Yeah.
dance and hang out. But anyway, interesting.
Anywho's, that's about all I got. So, what news do you have in your world?
Well, I just did an insanely difficult hour of yoga, and I did it before I turned my AC down for the night. So I'm pretty sure I just did DIY hot yoga because I was disgustingly sweaty. Like I was like drenched. Like I have my yoga mat still out on the floor so it can dry. 'Cause so if anyone's missing hot yoga, just you know,
Turn
don't
off your
turn your
AC.
AC on. So I did that, and I also had a DMV adventure this week and finally got my Virginia tag, so I am officially
Woot.
a Virginia driver, I guess.
Virginiite.
Sure, I think Virginian was just fine, but he wanted to go out on a limb. You do you, buddy. So yeah, I don't know, just I'm still teaching. Just so thankful to be able to be at the studio at all and hang from things.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yep. How about you?
Cool. Well, I got a new member of my family this week.
You
I
did.
have not named it yet, but I got a new keytar
It's so pretty.
to add to my arsenal of different instruments.
Yay.
And yeah, no, that is super fun. It's my first MIDI device, so I'm learning how to use MIDI devices and
Oh,
how those
cool.
work, and learning how to use Ableton Live, which is a whole hornet's nest of things.
Yeah, I don't like Ableton, but a lot of people love it, so.
Every Mac person I know says that exact thing. I don't like Ableton,
Yeah,
but it's the standard for live shows at least.
sure.
But
Eh,
yeah, each their own. I'm still learning it, so I couldn't even have an opinion on other things because I'm still trying to wrap my head around this one.
sure.
But
Yeah, no, that's really cool though. And I haven't received my birthday gift from my mom yet, but it is also a MIDI controller, but it's just a
ooh,
regular keyboard. It's not a guitar. It's not it's not
with
very fancy.
it's
But
got
I'm
pretty
very
lights at
excited.
least.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait until I have
Yeah.
that. 'Cause I've just been writing on like a tiny itty bitty MIDI controller.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a couple octaves and then you have to like bounce
Hit the
around.
octave button. Yeah.
So yay. So yay for new
Yeah.
MIDI devices.
Yeah. New music.
Woohoo.
We'll have to try and put out a track sometime.
Yes. At some point I will compose the intro to this show. Maybe never. Anyway.
That's about it in my world. They haven't announced anything new with the company, so just business as usual on the level of going into work or anything. Still not, you don't have to if you don't want to. So,
That's
good
awesome.
stuff. Yeah. So, let's jump into the topic of the day. What are we talking about today?
So today, on this fine day, you've been if you've been following the pandemic crisis with us over the past few months, you have probably seen how much our understanding of the COVID-19 virus has shifted, from even month to month, sometimes week to week.
Hmm.
And so basically, we know much more about the virus now than we did 4 months ago. Thank goodness. It's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Science is good.
Yes. So today we're going to talk about what we knew when the crisis started and basically what we've learned. So the at the jump, we understood that basically if you had COVID-19, you would have a fever, a
Hmm.
dry cough, shortness of breath, and body aches.
Yep.
Basically it.
Yep.
Uh, that list has kind of gone insane.
Yes,
Matt,
it
do you have a
has.
full list of
Oh, hold on. Let me pull that up real quick.
an insane list of symptoms?
Symptoms, yes. So listed from the CDC, which I suppose we can still trust for the moment.
I think we can still trust the CDC. It's run by scientists as opposed to the Trump administration.
Well, Trump wants to get in front of it and filter stuff before it gets to the CDC.
Yeah, but the CDC already knows what they know.
This is true. So, symptoms that appear 2 to 14 days after the virus include fevers or chills, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle and body aches, headaches, loss of taste and smell, sore throat, congestion and a running nose, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. Look for early warning signs if anyone has trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, new confusion, which we'll talk about in a bit, inability to wake or stay awake. I feel personally attacked by that one. And blushness in the lips or face.
Yeah, it's quite the list now.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was 3 to 4 symptoms initially, and now it's a list.
Yeah, and before it was like, well, it doesn't sound like a wet cough has joined the symptoms because
Not
before it was
yet.
like, oh, it's only a dry cough, but now runny nose and congestion is in there. So,
Yeah.
and now everyone with allergies, I'm just like,
Yep, me on a daily basis, sore throat and at least a little bit of a runny nose.
God, I had a student sneeze in class the other day, and I felt so bad because everybody else was like, they
Explain your sneeze.
they like no one was rude about it, but
Yeah.
everybody like stopped what they were doing and like stared at them for a second and then continued on, and I was like, oh. But it's like, okay, is that sneeze allergies or are you spewing the virus all over the place?
No.
Which one?
But
Yeah.
yeah, outside of those ones, there's also some weird symptoms that we wanted to talk about that aren't official yet, but stuff that people have been seeing a lot.
Yeah, the one that really got my attention is what some medical professionals have been calling COVID toes. And
Yep.
so COVID toes well, I've heard it explained a couple different ways. One, I've heard that if you have COVID, you may feel tingling or you may feel loss of feeling in one or more toes. And people that have been hospitalized often have like really dark purple or black toes,
Hmm.
because they there's like very poor circulation in those toes. I've heard things like your toes could feel really itchy. There's a lot of weird toe things.
Yeah.
COVID has a foot fetish. Yeah, it's
I
pretty
mean,
bizarre. I don't quite understand it myself, but it seems to be a thing enough so that folks that are working in hospitals have decided to say something about.
yeah. No, they're thought that it's caused a lot by being sedentary while you're sick, and
Mm,
not wearing footwear during it as well, warm footwear. So on
interesting.
top of your toes being almost the farthest part from the heart, If you got poor blood flow because of COVID or coughing or whatever, those are the first that's going to have issues. This is what they teach you in survival. By the way, if you ever have winter survival, you got to take care of your feet. But yeah, so if you're not moving and you got poor blood flow and you're not keeping them warm, you're going to get COVID toes.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, I guess that means that if you find yourself getting hospitalized, you better bring some big socks.
Get those compression socks, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what the Mayo Clinic at least said in my research.
Oh, cool. Very cool. I trust those guys.
Yeah, exactly. On that same note, there's also they found younger people getting red lesions, sort of typical of chickenpox in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I heard
That could
about that
last
one.
up to 12 days.
That's so crazy. Ugh. And then it makes me think of like smallpox and
Yeah.
oh man.
Now they're
That's
not
a
sure if that's from COVID directly or if COVID's like awakening something that was already kind of dormant.
right.
Rise.
It's the COVID horror movie. Oh, yeah, that lesion thing is pretty wacky.
So, and they're seeing that enough to where it's not quite on the symptoms list, but I think they're discussing it.
Yeah, yeah, there are so many things that I've just been hearing about, which is why we're making this episode.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just interesting trends, but not so common that it's like a common symptom, but
Yeah.
it's just showing up. Yeah,
Yeah, because everyone's body reacts differently to different things because we're all
and
different
especially
people.
apparently COVID.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I mean, they found it's moving through people's bodies like no other virus they've ever seen before. So it can cause weird issues and get into weird places.
Even the loss of sense of taste and smell is wacky.
It is, but I've heard that from a couple of my friends that, like, when they've had just, like, normal sickness, that's a thing that happens. I'm like, that's weird.
Sure. I mean, I have had that, like, if I, am extremely congested. For me, it's not necessarily, like, yes, I think that that happens when you get sick, but from what I've been hearing with people who have had the virus, they're saying that it is like that, but way more, like, acutely
Mm-hmm.
rather than, I don't know, I can't explain it because I didn't experience it, but folks, at least two people have told me that when they experienced the loss of taste and smell, it was like, it was sudden and it was bizarre. It wasn't the
Yeah.
same way. And I'm thinking, actually, now that I'm saying this, I wonder if it's because they weren't congested and they lost a sense of
Yeah,
taste.
because, yeah, this isn't related to congestion at all, the loss in taste and smell. It's just gone.
Right, yeah. Whereas, when I've been sick with a really bad cold or something, I'll lose my sense of taste and smell, but it's mostly because I can't breathe. I just can't, because taste has to do with
With
smell.
smell,
Like
yep.
they're, attached. So if I'm really congested, then I have a hard time tasting and smelling. But if
See, I've
you're
never
not
had that.
congested,
I've never had that problem.
oh man, it's the worst. It's
I'm
like
sure.
you get sick and you're like, I feel terrible. I'm gonna make my favorite meal. And then it's like sitting in front of you and wafting into your face and you can't smell it. You're just like trying to breathe, but you're congested. And then you taste it and you're like, it it tastes like it's like 3 rooms away. It's a bummer.
But yeah, when my guitar player Barnes had it, him and his wife, they have a newborn baby, and apparently she had a dirty diaper and they didn't even notice. Like, that's how severe the loss of smell was.
Good for them.
One bonus to it. So here's an
Yeah.
interesting symptom that the Mayo Clinic also listed. Confusion. COVID
Yeah, I'm very
19
interested
has,
in this.
yeah. COVID 19 has been reported to cause confusion in older people, especially those with severe infections. Now, is that related to fever or not? They didn't really say, but yeah, people are, losing cohesiveness.
Yeah, that's a good question about the fever. I hadn't thought about that. Because that would potentially lead to confusion, but you would think that these scientists would understand,
Yeah,
you know, the
absolutely.
difference. But I've been hearing about that, some confusion and delirium, and almost it sounds almost like panic.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe not, maybe there's a distinction there, but I I think I saw that there were some folks in a western state. It wasn't Colorado, um, but they were seeing a lot of their elderly experience this. Um, and I don't know what you do about that. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything you can do about it.
right? Like, what does a doctor prescribe when someone comes in with confusion? Like, uh, yeah, that's interesting, and some of the long-term effects that people have been discussing, um, potentially like
Mm-hmm.
heavy scarring in the lungs and
Yep.
things like that. With confusion being in here, which feels very neurological, it's like what neurological lasting effects might these patients have? It's kind of scary to think
Yeah.
about.
No, they found with at least with SARS, which is different, but it's related to COVID, that there are long-term neurological symptoms with people that have gotten it and dealt with it for a couple years after.
Mm.
Headaches, dizziness. What else did they find? Um, and it's supposedly related to neurological, but loss of feeling in fingers and toes just randomly.
Whoa.
Yeah,
And that was SARS.
that was post SARS, but yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that is quite wacky. I don't like it.
yeah. And people in Hong Kong that got the virus were seeing some of these symptoms up to 3.5 years after having the virus.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know about this thing, man.
Well, and it causes stuff that you don't realize at the time while you're fighting it.
Right.
We discussed back in the 1918 one how bad people would cough. They'd cough so hard they cracked their lungs open.
Yes. Ugh.
This is the same kind of thing. They're finding people having a lot of weird blood clotting and cardiovascular issues around their hearts post COVID because of how hard it works on your body, and they're yet to see what that's going to lead up to eventually.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I'm glad you mentioned that the clotting. I know there was some discussion a little while ago about how COVID patients were at higher risk of getting blood clots,
Mm-hmm.
which includes aneurysms. It includes blood clots anywhere.
Yep.
Um, Pulmonary blood clots, of course, but anywhere, and that is terrifying to me. Like, blood clots are one of those like things I don't like thinking about because
Yeah.
there's
This.
nothing you can do, and they could just sneak up on you and kill you.
Oh
The end.
yeah, it's absolutely scary. Who just died of one of those? An aneurysm. Oh, Grant Imahara from
Mm.
MythBusters
Mhm.
had a brain
Yep.
aneurysm, and it's scary because it just could happen.
Uh-huh. Anytime.
This is from Maxine Dexter, who is a pulmonary and critical care specialist at Kaiser Permanente. It says clotting in general seems to be a significant issue. We're hearing reports from ER colleagues about patients presenting with stroke and heart attack symptoms that end up being COVID positive.
Mm. That is, ugh, that just gives me this sinking feeling. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's just really scary. And that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about was that how much we've learned about how it is spread.
Yeah.
Like, when we talk about all of these terrifying symptoms, and then for me anyway, in my head, I'm looking at all the news and seeing the headlines about how, you know, certain governors, DeSantis, and certain presidents are like, oh, the young people are getting it. Like, let them get it and they'll bounce back. They'll be just fine. And it's like, that, not, it's never okay. And it's definitely not okay when you have, it's not a cold. It's
Yeah.
not like cough, cough, couple days out, take some cold medicine, and you're going to be better. Like, we're talking about lasting neurological effects, potentially lasting, like, physiological effects with blood clots and torn
Lung
ribs. And
issues. Yeah.
yeah, it is just so, it just reiterates how disgusting it is to me. But I did want to mention, we did talk about this, I think back in the 1918 pandemic episode, how the COVID-19 pandemic is not spread among the population in the same way
Hmm.
that past pandemics have been. In the past, the elderly and the young are at the highest risk, and COVID's kind of like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
It's sort of, yeah, spreading to all sorts of demographics.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody is being affected and infected. The the youngest bracket have not seemed to contract the virus at as high of a rate, but they can contract the virus. And I think that that was something that even I kind of started taking for granted, like, just because the way it was discussed in the news,
Hmm.
there was, it was almost like, oh, well, children, infants don't get it. But
Yeah.
they do. They
Yeah.
do get it. They just don't necessarily have the same symptoms. I saw just the other day that in a Texas county, there were 85 infants. In one Texas county, there
Oof.
were 85 infants with the virus. That's not a small number.
No.
like, like we can't in good conscience say that kids don't get it,
Yeah.
because they do. But we did learn recently that children under the age of 10 do not spread it at the same rate as kids over the age of 10. Um, and so that is something to take into account. It doesn't mean that we can just, throw our children at people and say, haha, you're fine. No, they still spread it. It's just about half the rate as older children. So 10 and older can spread the virus at the same rate as adults,
Hmm.
which is scary.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And also, I think this data can help us frame how we look at reopening schools.
Hmm.
Now, will it help us frame how we reopen schools? That is yet to be determined, because Miss Evil Pants over there
Yeah.
is still at it. Our president is still at it. So I have no idea what's going to happen with schools. And for those of you that have children, uh, my heart is out to you, because I don't know what I would do either. But it sounds like if younger children are not spreading the virus at as high of a rate, there's a potential for, younger classes and toddlers or whatever
Hmm.
to maybe have like little grouping. I think they did this in a few European countries where they have little bubbles or pods
Yeah.
of students that take class together, and they only interact with each other, and, they can still learn, because those age groups typically need a little bit more than a screen
Right.
to
Yeah.
help them learn. They need a little bit more engagement and guidance. But honestly, that's every age group, so what am I saying? But But yeah, I just feel like it's an opportunity for us to reopen schools with science
Yeah.
as opposed to chucking science in the dumpster and just being like, we're going to do it our
Yeah.
way.
We got to get back to normal. Back to the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. My thought on that always is just we can always catch people back up, but you can't undead a person yet.
that is true. Yeah, that is true. I really feel for folks that don't have that option.
Yeah.
Like, there are many families in higher socioeconomic brackets typically that have a way, they have either have jobs that are flexible or they have a way to work from home so that their child is supervised at home.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people who just simply can't.
Yeah.
You know, they have to work to pay the rent. There's no one to watch their child.
Yeah.
And in that case, their kid has to go to school. Like, the school is a godsend at that point.
Yeah.
So how do you help those people? How do you help single parents? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
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 Anyway,
Now, not in a derogatory way, but school is the country's biggest babysitter.
it is. It really is. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I mean, it's what it has allowed so many traditionally stay-at-home moms to
get out and go get a job
work.
yeah,
Yeah. And if they
if
want,
they want,
which
yes.
is, you know, which it's nice to have that choice, huh? Anyway.
So I got a couple other weird symptoms if we want to get back to it. How about eye problems?
Oh, I don't know that I've heard much about eye problems.
COVID-19 might cause eye problems such as enlarged red blood vessels, swollen eyelids, excessive watering, and increased discharge. The infection also may cause light sensitivity and irritation. These symptoms are more common in people with severe infections.
Whoa.
So, I mean,
I
again,
didn't know
sounds like
that.
my allergies.
Yeah, that's true. It does.
Like, I wake up with crusties every morning, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. Man, that's wild. I hadn't heard about that.
Yep, that's again from the Mayo Clinic, so I trust them on that.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, no, that's a new one to me, too. It's like, I have not heard eye problems, but that's a
Yeah, that's
crazy one.
scary.
Let's see. Um, no, we already talked about confusion and cardiovascular. How about happy hypoxia?
I have heard about that one. And that is, uh, it's scary to me in like a weird way
Yeah.
because it makes me think of like scuba divers. But yeah, go ahead.
People had dangerously low levels of oxygen in their blood, which would typically reduce consciousness. However, they've been unusually alert or unusually alert and comfortable. So they got lack of blood or lack of air in their blood, but they're like just fine.
Yeah, no, that it's funny. There are a lot of different names for it, and of course I'm blanking on all of them. But I think I've even heard it called like oxygen sickness, where you have low oxygen in your blood and you just kind of get high,
Yeah.
and so you're just kind of like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But that can lead to a lot more, like we're talking about, down the line issues. Because
oh,
if
of
your
course,
blood
yeah.
isn't, or if your brain's not getting enough oxygen, which gets it primarily from your blood, it starts shutting down almost immediately. So
Yeah.
that could cause some of these long-term effects that we've been talking about.
Man, this thing's so wild. And it's almost like I because the other countries, I always have to remind myself that the countries like that we talked about last week that are further along in their crisis management of this pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
like in my head, I'm like, oh, well, they have the answers. Like, they know more about this virus than we do. But they don't. We all know the same amount.
Yeah.
We're just really bad at dealing with
Yeah, they're just better at controlling their people or getting ideas across better than here.
it. Yeah, helping their people care about each other.
I mean, it's true. I was watching Conan, and she had he had Lisa Kudrow on, and
Oh,
she was
nice.
talking about how we should tell people not that masks are to protect other people, but just lie and say they're to protect yourself, because
Yeah,
how just selfish we all are. Like, nah, screw protecting other people. I gotta protect myself, and then everyone will wear a
exactly.
mask.
Yeah, just like say that, you know, the two biggest, actually, you know what would do it? Just lie and say that there's like an amendment around wearing masks, and it is your, like, Second Amendment 2A to
To
wear
wear
a
a
mask.
mask.
And then a whole bunch of people will buy so many masks, and they'll be like N95 masks. They'll be like, restricted, like, I don't know, features that are not legal now, but were once legal.
Yeah, we found this unwritten sentence in the original Constitution. It says you have the right to bear arms, but only in an N95 mask. So
Yeah, exactly. That'll do it. We figured it
we
out.
got it down. So here's one last thing I thought was interesting. I kind of talked a bit about it before, but they did a study about SARS, which again is the closest thing we've had related to COVID. It's not
Hmm.
really, but it's the closest we've come at the moment. And a study of long term effects of SARS undertaken in Hong Kong showed 2 years after they had the disease, 1 in 2 SARS survivors had much poorer exercise capacity and health status than those that never had the disease. Only 78% of SARS patients were able to return to full time work 1 year after infection.
Full-time work?
Yeah, so they're talking about the. So we talk about like the like being tired and the muscle aches and all that. That
Hmm.
apparently has been could last in SARS survivors after they have the disease, and they're unable to
Wow.
get full lung capacity to be able to like work or work out or do anything for up to
Yeah,
a
because I
year.
was thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking of working out, but then you said work, and I was like, so they can't even, like,
Can't even get to work
just
for
go
a
to
full day.
work.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Of course, we're America, so people will just force themselves to keep going to work when they
Oh,
can't
yeah,
breathe.
obviously. Well, you already do that.
Yep.
We've all been, as Americans, we've all been to a restaurant where your server looks like they're patient zero for something, and you're like, I don't want you to serve my food. But they're there because they probably told their supervisor it's the allergies or something, and they
Yep.
need the job and they need the work, and there's no paid time off, and yeah.
Yep. The worst one for me, and I hopefully the COVID will see a change in this, but people in an office that you work at, they're like
Mm,
obviously dying. It's like, I know you have PTO because we have the same PTO. Like,
that's true,
go
yeah.
home. Get what do you get out of here? Go home.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing too. Yeah, it's very common in America for people not to use their paid time off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
don't get it.
I don't either. Use up as much as you
It's like,
can.
especially for all the folks that don't get paid time off, it's like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? You can take a sick day and still get paid for it? Go home.
Yeah. Go home.
Yeah.
Anything. Anyways, do you got anything else to add to any weird symptoms?
No, we talked about all the cool ones
All
that
the
I wanted to talk about. By
cool
cool,
ones.
okay, that was not good. They're not cool. Scientifically, in a nerdy way, they're cool.
Yes.
When they are applied to a human, they are no longer cool.
Alrighty then. Well, then let's get into our distractions. What we're distracting ourselves with this week from the world dumpster fire that's burning outside.
Yes.
So how are you distracting yourself?
So I'm still researching plants. And I'm super excited about it. I actually just planted my first batch of plant babies,
Nice.
and so I'm gonna hopefully have more babies. My plant babies will have babies, and then they will grow, and it will be wonderful. Um, so I'm just excited about that right now, and I'm excited to have like another living thing, like more living things here, because I am missing my pup.
Yeah.
So now I have plant puppy.
Has the cat gotten into him yet?
Oh no, no, they're outside.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, that won't be a thing.
Next time you hear, like in 2022 when we're allowed to travel again,
I was gonna say, yeah.
I got to show you my mom's garden. We actually plucked zucchini this weekend, literally over a foot and a half big.
Ugh, that's awesome. I really wanted to plant cucumbers, but it's a little too late.
Yeah,
So next year I'll get cucumbers, but yeah, it's exciting.
that's fun. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Uh, what about you?
Let's see. Well, yeah, relearning how to play the piano at a completely weird angle. That's been a thing
With one
with
hand.
one hand. Which also comes along with learning an entirely new software. So that's
It's a lot to distract
it is.
yourself
It's a
with.
lot going on.
Yeah.
On top of that, um, I've been watching Arrow season 2 again. I got it on Blu-ray, and it's great. I know you're shaking your head at me, but it's great. Which,
Mm.
speaking of which, actually, Felicity, Emily Bett Rickards, she's a July birthday too.
Oh, happy birthday to
And for
her.
her birthday this weekend, she's doing a yoga class on Instagram TV. So I might check that
Oh,
out. I don't know, maybe.
yeah. Yeah, that's not bad. I am personally extremely yoga'd out right this moment. I would like to never do another vinyasa, but you know, maybe by this weekend I will.
But yeah, outside of that, I'm just getting back from vacation, so I got bad vacation brain at work, and
Mm, yeah, I get it. Man, I'm really considering like, cause I don't know if it's the heat or what, but I kind of feel like my brain is like, nah, you're done.
yeah. Oh,
So
definitely.
like tomorrow is Friday for us, so I may just like do a half day of work and then just kind of be like, peace out,
Yeah.
cook a really big meal.
Oh yeah. Now my plan tomorrow is, as soon as I'm off of work, is order something in, something big, and then watch Star Trek: The Original Series.
It's a good plan.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
So let's move into everyone's favorite part of this show. Even though no one's told us this, I'm just assuming everyone loves this favorite part of the show. It's only in a pandemic.
And major civil unrest.
Oh wait, hold on, since I got my keyboards out.
Oh no.
All right, give me that one more time.
And major civil unrest. That was in a major key, wasn't it? It like went into my soul and my soul spit it back. That's really funny. Ah, I like it.
All right, so stories that can only happen in a pandemic, or major civil unrest, or presiding under the worst president in my lifetime.
Oof. Hey, you're not dead yet. You gotta just
Don't set that bar. Someone's gonna get
stop
under it.
talking. That's how he got here.
It's true.
So, only in a pandemic have I seen this awesome group. I actually just stumbled on it today. I haven't joined yet. I don't even know if I can. But it's called Drunk Drop. And so it's a group of friends, and you sneakily deliver booze and gifts to your friends'
Huh.
houses, and you don't say anything. They just, like, your number one goal is to not get caught. So that someone just opens their door and there's booze there. And it's really cool. Like a friend of mine posted today that they got one, and it was just like a couple bottles of Strongbow and like the little knickknacks and stuff, and it's just making people feel connected and also booze.
That's fun.
It's really cool. I think it's an interesting concept I hadn't really heard of before.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, only in a pandemic will movies that have been pushed back 100 times get pushed back even more, and it just makes me laugh.
I
So
know.
three in particular, and two of them were announced backed up this week as well. So the Bill and Ted 3 has been in development hell since '95, like forever.
Yeah.
It's finally gonna come out. We got a trailer. It's gonna happen, guys. COVID.
Hmm.
And then it just keeps getting. This one's funny. They just like keep pushing it back like a week, like another week. Like
It's
we're
like they're
gonna do
so
it.
hopeful.
And it's like
Yeah.
just give up the ghost, man.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
And the other one, which is I always think is hilarious, is the Avatar sequels have all been pushed back. All our long-awaited Avatar sequels, because I know we all want to see the continuing adventures of Johnny Avatar.
Mm,
So the initial Avatar 2 was supposed to come out in 2017, and
hmm.
now it's gonna be 2022.
That's really funny. And I'm so curious, especially now with the climate that we're in, the social climate, like how they're going to address that because it's very problematic looking back from a current modern day lens. So I would I I'm interested to see how they plan like what they plan to do if anything.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they could do a white savior story again. Would
I
not look
mean,
good.
as I like to say, the caucasity is there.
And then the third one, the poor New Mutants.
Oh
That
God.
one was supposed to come out in 2018, I think. Had a trailer and everything, and then got pushed back. Got pushed back. They're finally like, we're just gonna put it in theaters. We don't care. Just put it in theaters. And then just keeps getting pushed back.
I'm so bummed about that one because I was so excited for it, and then they pulled that trailer down and was like, "We're gonna do a bunch of crap to it," and now I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna suck."
So supposedly the director said this is his vision, what they're releasing.
I don't know if I
So
trust that.
we'll wait.
There are a lot of people with visions that I don't like.
Yeah, this is true. I don't know the director. I don't know any of his work. So I mean, Zack Snyder definitely had a vision for Batman v Superman, and he got to do it, and it's not good. But anyways, that one's really funny though too. Is that during when I saw Bloodshot, the last movie I saw in theaters, there was a trailer for New Mutants.
Was there
Yeah,
really? I haven't seen the new
because
trailer.
it was gonna happen in August, and yeah, and supposedly it's in the Fox contract when they got bought out that Disney had to release everything they had slated for theaters in theaters. They're not allowed to just turf it somewhere
Okay.
or punt it somewhere, and so they're not allowed to just like put it on Disney Plus. They have to put it in
Hmm.
theaters somewhere. That's the rumor that I've heard, and that's why they
Hmm.
just haven't done that. Is like they're legally obligated to put it in
Hmm.
theaters.
Well, yeah, we'll see. The films I'm waiting for haven't been pushed back yet, but I'm sure they'll.
No
Well,
one did.
Antebellum was pushed back,
Another one
right?
did too.
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween, of course. Antebellum, I think, has only been pushed back once, but it was only supposed to come out this year anyway,
Yeah,
so I don't know when that's gonna happen. And Candyman 2, I don't even know when that's supposed to come out. Is it this year or next year?
it's got to
But
be next year at this point. I don't know if it was supposed to come out this year. I think it.
right, even if it was supposed to come out this year, it's not gonna.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know, but it just feels
Just
like a
waiting.
weird perfect storm of movies that were supposed to finally come out this year, and then
Yeah,
COVID.
it's true. It's true.
Although
Oh,
Avatar wasn't
COVID.
going to be this year, it's going to be next year, but I don't want
Eh.
to see that.
Anyway,
We always get distracted into movies.
it's true.
So let's go ahead and end this with our hermit level. So on the Leonardo DiCaprio scale, a 10 being The Revenant, where you're living in the woods by yourself, running away from bears, or a 1 being Jack from Titanic, where you're hanging out in the lower levels with all the people and dancing and having a good old time. Where are you at as a hermit?
I am at a 7 this week. So a little bit more hermity than last week, so I'm in my comfort zone. I like 7. 7's a nice
That's
area to
good,
be
yeah.
in. So, yeah, I'm good. Just hiding from people. Seeing them when I have to.
There you go.
Otherwise hiding away. Just me and my cat and my plants.
I just see you like poking your head up from your plants, holding up Nisha. What's going on?
It's more like me out there with my plants, like looking at them and like checking their little leaves, and Nisha looking through the window, like, what are you doing? Come back in here and give me treats and food. And she's staring at me now.
Yeah.
Oh, what about you? How hermity are you?
Probably let's say a 5 since it was just past my birthday weekend.
Yeah.
I helped someone move during a pandemic. That was interesting.
On your birthday weekend?
On my birthday weekend. Um,
Yeah, moving during a pandemic sucks. I feel bad for
so
everybody that has to do
yeah.
that.
So yeah, I had to lift stuff and go into a storage facility with masks on and do all that. Hey, but guess what? I was still able to breathe. I know, it's
Weird.
crazy.
I know, it's crazy how like surgeons can breathe for hours with a mask
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, my dad had a 14-hour surgery once, but your 20 minutes in the grocery store is going to kill you.
Yeah. You tell him that.
Anywho's. But then also the band came over to not band and just drink and hang out and be buddies,
Oh,
which you don't get a lot of
nice.
time to do a lot of times.
Oh,
So
yeah, and happy belated birthday to Johnzo.
yes, well done.
Haha. I remembered. Mostly, not the birthday part, the name
You
of the
did.
human, matching the human to the name. It's very confusing. I won't explain it to you.
You were the first to officially say happy birthday too on the day of my birthday. I had a few early ones, but you
Oh,
were like
yeah.
at midnight, at least midnight my time.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I was like, I can't text him yet. It's not midnight in Colorado yet.
And we were well far gone at that point.
Yeah, that sounded like you guys were having fun.
Yeah,
That's cool.
bottle of wild turkey and a bottle of Chopin.
Well, the inside of my stomach lining just left. So,
Everyone picked one or the other. No one drank both.
okay, good. Jesus Christ. Well, maybe 1 year in the future, whatever the apocalyptic future might look like, we can have a 3-way birthday week or
Yeah,
something.
absolutely.
But yeah.
So I believe that's the end of another episode. So if people want
Hmm.
to hit you up and give you advice about plants, where can
Yes.
they do that at?
Please do, but don't be a jerk about it, all right? I didn't get into this for you jerky plant people. My Instagram and Twitter are Luna_Minuit, so that's Luna_MINUIT. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Goth and Sloth. And Gmail is gothandsloth at
Yeah,
gmail.com.
if you want to ask any questions and give a shout out on the show or whatever, we will do it. Hit us up there.
And as always, please review and subscribe. That is so good for our number stuff. So if you could do that, that would
Yeah,
be
we got to
awesome.
feed the algorithm.
How about you, Matt? How can people come hang out with you in the interweb
Well, if you want to
land?
see pictures of my sweet keytar, I'm at wizard_Matt on Twitter and wizard cosplay on Instagram. And my band is Leonardo Leonardo. You can find us at Leonardo Leonardo Band on SoundCloud. And my YouTube channel is Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. I have another drunk unboxing that just came out today. I totally forgot about that, but it did come out today. So, yeah, enjoy.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Please wash your hands.
And stay home.